Please welcome, making his entrance here, the mayor of the great city of Mesa, Arizona, Mr. Scott Smith. Come on out, Mayor. All right, buddy, follow that.
I was going to say, thank you. Now, I was thinking, though, as you had all these these critters on, especially the snake, all the segues into the politician jokes that you could have.
I wouldn't do that to my special guest.
Now, you do know that I did start my career, by the way, as an accountant. So
I did not do the research on that. Well, welcome.
Yeah.
But you've got a big step up now. You're the mayor of a great city like Mesa.
It's a great honor and privilege.
Well, great. And you're doing a great job, don't you think, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you.
I like to ask this so we kind of personalize our guest. What's a little known fact about Mayor Smith that you could share with us?
Little known fact. Yeah, we were just talking about this in the office. We couldn't think of anything that was interesting enough to talk about.
You were an accountant.
I fly airplanes. I love to fly. That's my passion.
Really?
Flying airplanes, yeah.
Oh, great.
I haven't had the chance to fly that much, so I volunteer for a group that flies blood around the state for United Blood Services. It's a great group called Flights for Life. A bunch of pilots who volunteer their time and their planes and their avgas to fly blood platelets and go pick up blood from blood drives. It's a great organization to be involved with.
Do you fly out of Mesa?
At Falcon Field.
Oh,
I keep my plane out there, and I haven't killed anyone yet.
Good. You know, the Falcon...
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if you know this.
A few people out there were happy about that. Thanks, Sally.
Falcon Field is beautiful, and I don't know if you know this, but falcons can hover like a helicopter.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Just a wealth of knowledge here.
Yes.
Well, what's going on in Mesa that we all ought to know about? Obviously, this is the lifeblood of all these folks.
You know, there's so much going on in our city. It has been so refreshing and satisfying to see during this horrible recession, when so many people are being challenged, the good things that are going on in our city of Mesa. We're sitting in one of those good things. Crescent Crown made a significant investment in our community during the depths of the recession, and it's a beautiful, beautiful asset, a point of pride for us. But with colleges, with Gateway, with the things that are going on out there, with a third airline starting next month, coming in, Frontier Airlines, there's just so much going on that even with all the challenges we have, you can't help but feel positive about where our community's headed.
Where do you, I always pop this on the guest. If there was a crystal ball here and you could look 20 years in the future, what would you like to see happen in Mesa?
I'd like Mesa to continue to be the leader that it's become. It's great to go around the state and people are asking what's happening in Mesa because we've become recognized as a city government and as a community that's innovative, that tries things, that does bold things. When I came into office, one of the, and this seems like a silly little goal, but there's two things we wanted to do. We wanted to celebrate our successes, meaning we wanted our employees and our city departments to go out and see if they apply for awards and things like that. It's always good to have third parties come in and judge you and see what you're like. The other thing is we wanted to measure our success of leadership of saying if you go to a seminar, if you go to a convention, you always have these experts or people up there speaking. And I used to always go to these builder conventions and even accountant conventions. Now that was a happening place, by the way. And by the way, you've never seen anything until you've seen a group of drunk accountants after a day at a convention. Sight to behold. There was jumping in the pool involved, though, I'll tell you that. But to go to these conventions and to have so-called experts, leaders in the industry, get up and talk. And I said, I want to go to a convention and have the city of Mesa be the presenting party. Because that, to me, is a judgment that we're doing something right, that people are looking to us for leadership. Well, just this past week, the International City Managers Association, the group that brings thousands of city leaders, city managers together, professionals, met in Phoenix. One of the featured presenters was the city of Mesa. They asked us to present on our iMesa initiative. And one of our assistant city managers, Carrie Kent, got up and gave a presentation to a packed house, over 400 city managers, about what Mesa's doing. We were asked to do that. You know, when you have things like that happen, it's good. It tells you we're doing something right. And there's things that, and people recognize that, and we want to continue to do that. We want to continue to be the leader.
That's great. If you look back on your first term, any highlights that you're especially proud of?
You know, it's hard to be proud of highlights because I like to liken this to a football game. You know, we're at the third quarter, we got a good lead, but if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, you know that fourth quarter can be brutal. So, I never get too excited because, things can turn in a minute. But I like the fact that we have the lead at the end of the third quarter. When you look at how we've handled the financial situation, the city as a government entity, which I think was a model for others. When you look at what's happened at Gateway Airport, when I came into office, there wasn't commercial air service. We'll have 1.5 million people through that terminal this year. 3 airlines. Wow. We'll go to, yeah. It's a great success story that will just keep growing. It's fun to go around the state and find people who have traveled in from all corners of Arizona. It's amazing to fly in and out of Gateway and to see the new terminals there and then to plan for the terminal on the other side. That's been a real point of pride. But then the colleges, the 5 colleges that we've brought into Mesa and 4 of them being downtown, that's been something that has gone over better than I ever expected. I get calls from literally around the country. What are you doing? How are you doing this? And what difference will it make? And I hope it changes the conversation of higher education in Arizona, because I know it has having an impact already across the nation about a new model for delivering higher education. And that's fun to be involved in things like that.
Okay, using your analogy, you've got the lead in the third quarter. What do you want to see happen in the fourth quarter? What's your goals for your next?
The worst thing you can do, and I hate sports analogies, but since I brought it up, I guess I better finish it. What teams tend to do is that they can't stand success. They've been aggressive, they've built a lead, and so what do? You play the fourth quarter not to lose.
Right.
I think the worst thing we can do in Mesa is to throttle back. We have to keep going. We have to not be afraid to make mistakes. The thing that got us here is, as a government entity, we did something that was unique, that was counterintuitive. Governments are not by nature risk takers because there's no upside to taking a risk in government. You get hammered when you do things right. And when you do things wrong, there's really a price to pay. And that was one of the big changes I found from going from business into government. But in the city of Mesa, we have city leadership, we have a council, and we have a city manager that's willing to take risks and willing to take bold risks. Going into the fourth quarter, I hope we continue that. I hope we continue to stretch and to do things that are new, that are innovative. Because if we don't, what happens when you have the prevent defense is you just prevent victory. You lose your momentum, the other team comes up, and that's a real fear. Can we handle success?
I'll bet you out here we've got somebody that's got a question for the mayor. This is a rare treat. Gentleman in the back of the blue shirt, I saw you first.
Well, first of all, we're now right at about 1 year since Robert left us so suddenly, and we miss him. There's a huge hole in Mesa and in our leadership, and we miss him dearly because Robert had an impact on any room he walked into, on anyone he dealt with, and he certainly had a huge impact on our community. And we, he's just one of those guys you can't replace. We miss him. But the water park basically is dead in Mesa. It was a great idea at a very, very unfortunate time. It was almost impossible to finance. That hasn't gotten a whole lot better. As a matter of fact, Gaylord was another example of a great idea that, had it happened a year earlier, you'd see a Gaylord hotel being built out in East Mesa. But it happened right at the time when the economy went off the cliff. And hotels, amusement, entertainment are still probably one of the most difficult things to finance, and that's why it's just not going to be built.
Saw another hand. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just the timeline, if you have one, for the Williams Gateway, the GM Proving Grounds development.
There's actually 2 companies that bought the land that was the GM Proving Ground. D&B Associates, a development company right here in the valley, and then a company called Pacific Proving. Both both are actively engaged in either planning or development. D&B has actually broken ground for some housing development. There will be about 700 new homes, and that's well underway. Those homes will be available starting in the first part of, or the middle part of 2013. So there actually is activity going on out there. If you drive down Ellsworth Road and look back to the west, you can see it. First Solar, of course, has been built, and there's some other inquiries from commercial that are going on. We just approved a zoning case for the southern part for a development. I think in a couple of years you'll see some real activity. You'll see people living there, and you'll start to see some commercial activity on the former GM Proving Grounds. It's part of the whole Gateway area, which has just been an incredible story in and of itself, and it's just at the beginning. That's going to take 20, 30, 40 years to truly develop. The Gateway planning area, to put it in perspective, is almost the same size as the entire city of Tempe. So it's 40 square miles. Tempe is like 42 square miles. So it's a huge area with a lot of potential. The difference is you got this incredible airport, this incredible university, smack dab in the middle of it. So we're excited about Gateway.
Since we can't have a water park, most of us would settle for 2 spring training teams in exchange. Where are we with the A's?
We're really in the final stages of negotiation with the A's. There's a couple of things that don't involve the A's that we have to get over, and it will primarily center on $8 million in Sports and Tourism Authority money that has been set aside for Mesa. But there's some people who are saying, yeah, it was set aside for Mesa for the Cubs at Hohokam. Not the Cubs in a new stadium, not a new team at Hohokam, and they're sort of playing games. It's a real issue we have to get over, but it's also sort of petty politics playing out. And we're working with our neighbors in the region. You know, one of the reasons we're so adamant about this is, to give you a very quick rundown, the Sports and Tourism Authority was set up basically to save spring training about 20 years ago. And it thrives on 2 things. It gets its funding from a bed tax and also from a rental car tax. And these taxes are collected from visitors. Well, the way that it's been collected is valley-wide. The way that it's been spent has very much left Mesa out. As a matter of fact, over the course of its life, there'll be over $1 billion spent to build the Cardinal Stadium, to build spring training venues on the west, to refurbish Tempe and Scottsdale, and that $8 million is part of the refurbishment money that was set aside. So out of this $1 billion, Mesa, even though it's the second largest city, had about $8 million set aside for it. If we don't get that $8 million, we will be left literally with like $100,000 out of $1 billion that have come back into our community. And all we're saying is, listen, fair is fair. I have no problem with spending money in the region because we've all benefited from things like the Cardinal Stadium, the Cactus Lake, but come on, $8 million, and that's important to us, and we'll work it out. We'll figure it out, and I'm fully confident that the A's will be training here in 2015. We talked to each other a whole bunch. We spent almost the whole day on Wednesday together. The mayors in this valley get along very well. We have our differences, and once I correct them, and once they figure out what the right place to go is, they settle down and they get in their place. No, we get along well, and it's a great relationship because we have so much together to do. We are no longer individual cities that make up a valley. We are literally a metro area with little that are cities. I was saying the other day, if you started in far northwest Peoria and drove down to Queen Creek, I challenge you to tell me what city you're in, except for when you're maybe driving through downtown Phoenix or past ASU. Most people can't tell where cities begin and end anymore. We've really become a regional economy. We've become one gigantic metro area. We have to work together, and for the most part, the mayors do a pretty good job of talking. And Mayor Stanton's been very involved, and we get along well even when we do disagree.
That's great. Any other?
Got one.
Oh, there we go. Yes, sir.
Mayor, do you think the completion of State Route 24 is going to help expedite development in that area?
Thank you, Mr. John Berry from Gateway Airport. That was a loaded question. Gee. For those of you who don't know, State Route 24 is, if you've driven around the 202 near Gateway and seen all that construction, that's the freeway interchange right there at Hawes and Elliott Road where the 202 takes the big swing from the south to the west. There's an interchange that's going to connect to a planned freeway, which isn't totally funded, called the Gateway Freeway. It's called, or State Route 24. Now, the interesting thing about that is that we wanted that in Mesa because it really opens up the east side of Gateway and accelerates our ability to develop that site, including a terminal. The one fact that we are proud of is that interchange was not to be built for another 5 or 6 or 7 years. And the city of Mesa, before I came on board, but we perfected it since, came up with a plan, a new program that we're the only one that's used it, where we actually go out and issue debt through a special kind of debt to accelerate the construction of highway projects, and then we cover the debt payments until the regular payments start coming in. Because, for example, on that freeway, we weren't to be paid back until 2021 or whatever, I can't remember what it was. By accelerating that by 5 years, which we did, for example, on the 202. The 202 freeway was not scheduled to be completed until 2014. Mesa stepped up, spent money, advanced the construction by 6 years. I will tell you that without the completion of the 202, we don't have Allegiant Airlines, we don't have Spirit, probably don't have commercial service at Gateway. Because what it's interesting is the thing that made an airport a success was the completion of a freeway. That's how investment in transportation infrastructure works. By advancing this interchange by about 5 or 6 years, even with the interest carry, because of the savings we're going to generate from lower construction costs, building during a recession is a good thing because you have hungry construction companies. Our savings are almost $100 million on that interchange. And we're able to take that money and reinvest it elsewhere. So we think that when that interchange is done, it'll certainly open up the east side of Gateway, will accelerate that. Gateway will be an incredible economic driver for Mesa, for the region, and for the state of Arizona. I know that was a very bureaucratic, boring answer, wasn't it?
No, I liked it.
Oh, okay,
Sounded
good.
like an accountant. I know you're a busy man, and we thank you so much for popping in. If these folks have other questions, is there a way they can shoot you an email? You want to give out your cell phone number? Probably not.
Too many people have it already, but that's okay.
Well, no,
yeah, it's just, I think it's written on the bathroom wall in there on the thing. They didn't think that was funny. I'll leave the jokes to you, okay? Leave the account stuff to me.
I'll put it in.
No,
I'll put it in there.
if you have a question, please call. Just call City Hall or 644-2388. Goes directly to my office, or mayor.smith@mesaaz.gov. And we get lots of emails. Love to talk to them. Love to hear your concerns, hear your suggestions, or the best thing to do, if you want to get involved, go on to the City of Mesa website, mesaaz.gov, and go to iMesa. iMesa has been an incredible tool for people to interact directly with their city government. And what you're going to see coming up right now, election started yesterday, early voting, is question 1, which is the bond issue, the ballot issue. And I will say that was driven by citizens. It was created by citizens through the iMesa process and others. It's the investment in our community. I hope you'll join us in voting yes on question 1. It's a great investment. And the biggest thing is it was created by citizens, not by us and the city council. And we were privileged to take those ideas and put them before the voters to see if you'd accept that investment. I hope you do.
Well, Mayor Smith, we thank you so much for coming out and making Mesa Morning Live very special today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Appreciate it.